o'clock. And this is the Parliamentary Oversight Committee on Wednesday, the 29th of November 2023 at 2 o'clock by virtual means. A warm welcome to all honourable members as well as officials. In attendance, all committee members, the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, Secretary and officials, members of the public. Can I perhaps have an indication if we do have members of the public present?
Good afternoon, Chairperson. I do not see any members of the public that's present in our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davids. Honourable members, just a kind reminder to please mute yourself just to avoid any background noises. Also for members to please flag their points of order in the chat function. I see the Deputy Speaker.
Good afternoon, Chair. Can I just check that the speaker is online, please? Maybe I'm missing seeing him here.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Mr. Davids.
Honourable Chair, I do not see the speaker in the meeting, but what I will do is I will just call the speaker in quickly, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davids. Colleagues, can we just give it another minute or two for speaker to join, please?
Chairperson, if you can just give me another minute quickly, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davids.
Chair, I'm just requesting the speaker to join via his email address. I will try continuously, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davids. Colleagues, can I please just ask some bit of patience? Thank you.
Chair, it seems the speaker is stuck in the waiting room on the other. I can't understand why there's two different links. Can we, Dustin, just get him over to the right?
Link, please.
Yes,
Not
please.
a, not
Sure
a
what's
problem.
going on. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Not a
Thank
problem,
you.
Deputy Speaker. I will just arrange with IT quickly. Thank you.
I know what is the view.
Okay, my apologies. I've now received the correct link.
Thank you very much and welcome, Speaker. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Honourable colleagues, we will now proceed with the meeting. As mentioned, please do flag your points of order in the chat function or by means of the raise your hand function on MS Teams. I will also ask that all videos and audio be switched off just to ensure that we have a stable connection. Ms. Fisher?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to request through you whether I can wish or we can wish Member Lekker a happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fisher. Member Lekker?
Yes, Chair.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair. How are you?
All well, thank you, Member, and wishing you on behalf of the committee a most blessed and a wonderful birthday, Member.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet of the committee. Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it.
Blessings in abundance and enjoy the meeting. Member Maseko, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to indicate that at this time she was 9 minutes old. So happy birthday to her.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Honourable members, without any further ado, I think we should now continue. Can I please ask that members introduce themselves? And Mr. Davids has indicated that there are no members of the public present. You may proceed, members.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and the officials that have joined us, and the Secretary and members. My name is Matlodi Maseko, and I'm the member to the Standing Committee of Parliamentary Oversight in the Western Cape Province.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Gillian Bosman.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Patronella Zingisaleka. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Aisha Kasim, member of the committee. Thank you.
Afternoon, Chair. Deputy Speaker Beverly Schaefer.
Good afternoon, Chair and colleagues. Dalen Mitchell, I'm the Speaker of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament.
Thank you very much, honourable colleagues. Officials?
Good afternoon, Chairperson Romeo Adams, Secretary to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament.
Sunal Fouché, Public Engagement.
Margot Goldster, Director Strategy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members, colleagues. Vernon Titus, Institutional Enablement.
Good afternoon, Chair. Nicole Peterson, CFO.
Good afternoon, Chair. Dawood Jawudin, Manager Finance. Good afternoon, Chair. Mario Sassman, Acting Director, Parliamentary Support Services and Manager Committee Support. Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Good
Chair.
afternoon,
Temba Ken.
everyone. This is Engineer, the Manager of Financial Compliance and Internal Control.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good
Temba
afternoon,
Keswa,
Chair.
Manager PEO. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Usman Alexander, Manager SNAM.
Good afternoon, Chair. Carolyn Prakasam, People Management.
Good afternoon, James Retief, Manager Stakeholder Management and Communication Services.
Good afternoon, Andre Leroux, Senior Legal Advisor.
Good afternoon, Chair. Ridwan Babu, Manager, Knowledge Management.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lorica Elliott, Speaker's Office.
Good afternoon, Chair, members and colleagues. Yanni Ace, Speaker's Office.
Good afternoon, Genevieve Ackham, Manager in the Office of the Secretary.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. This is Tafsir Abbas, Acting Manager, Sergeant at Arms and Logistical Services.
Thank you very much. I see the Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe just an apology for Mr. Stimele, the Director, Parliamentary Support Services. He is on sick leave, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, and we wish Mr. Stimele well. Does that cover all officials?
Yes, Chairperson, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, honourable colleagues. As per the agenda, we will today deal with the deliberation on Vote 2, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill of 2023. Honourable colleagues, at this stage, I will provide the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, an opportunity to provide introductory remarks. Over to you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and once again, good afternoon, colleagues. Chairperson, I don't have much to add, and just to say that the rollovers and adjusted appropriation has been detailed in the Blue Book, and we are ready to unpack that through the Secretary and the CFO. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Deputy Speaker.
Nothing from me other to just to concur what the Speaker said. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Mr. Secretary, are there any introductory remarks from your side?
Chairperson, no specific introductory remarks from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Honourable colleagues, we will then immediately move into our business. All honourable members have received the necessary information, and I will now table pages 19 to 35 for us to consider the schedule to the vote as received and I believe as read by all honourable members. Honourable members, I will now afford you an opportunity to engage. Please do raise your hand or make use of the chat function. And please, members, can we then also concur that you indicate the page that you would be asking your questions on, please. You may indicate, members. Honourable members, am I audible?
Yes, Chair, you are audible.
Thank you, Mr. Davids. I do not see any hands on my side or any indication on the chat function as well. Is that correct? I see Member Maseko now.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, you are very much audible. I just want to find out from the Provincial Parliament, listening to Minister as she was tabling the medium term, budget and listening to other developments that might happen for 2024 for the main appropriation bill. For the wage bill, when coming to the provincial parliament, or maybe allocation from the equitable share, do we foresee the province also being affected by the new developments? And if that's the case, what is it that measures can be in place for the parliament to sustain itself moving forward with the financial constraints that we are seeing? Is there a way where they can cushion the challenges of the wage bill, as it's a challenge to other departments? And I know it's Western Cape government is separate from the legislature, but I tend to believe the equitable share one way or another will affect the parliament also. Thank you, Chair. That's the only question from me.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. And then I recognize Member Bosman.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I would just like to understand what impact the adjustment on the public education budget will have on the ability of the WCPP to meet its stated objectives.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. Honourable members, I do not see any further hands on my side. Speaker, can I ask you to respond or accordingly divert the response, please?
Thank you very much, Chair. I think that let me hand over to the Secretary, but I think the public education question Ms. Forshia will deal with, and the equitable share, the CFO.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the question, Honourable Maseko. Speaker, through you, Chairperson and Honourable members, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament has always, since 2019 and sometimes even before that, agreed with the local union on cost of living increases that fits within our budget. Yes, the variables and the permutations within that envelope has always also been put on the table and negotiations from all of the parties, but we've never exceeded what was budgeted for. Within the sector itself, the legislative sector, there's a national bargaining forum where for the other 8 legislatures and national parliament, the negotiations of cost of living increases happens at that forum. Conceivably, over the past 4 years, the results of that national bargaining forum negotiations had been higher than what the WCPP had awarded. And from my assessment, some legislatures have actually struggled to meet the obligations in terms of those agreements. We've always not been part of that specific forum because it was always our understanding that based on our experience, we would be in some difficulty to meet the expectations of agreements at the national level as opposed to what we have to offer. So we've offered what was in our budget. The unions have negotiated on that basis and agreements have been signed in terms of that. Going forward, the Chairperson and honourable members, that would always be, as the accounting officer, that would always be the premise from which we will negotiate. The money that we have, the envelope that we have available, we'll seek to negotiate in terms of that specific envelope so that we don't put further pressure on other parts of our budget specifically. Having said that, Chairperson, it will become increasingly challenging that if we look at what the CPI is projected to be over the MTEF period, that with cuts in the budget for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament and then agreeing to cost of living increases at CPI, it would then crowd out some funding for programmatic work, whether it be with the work of committees, whether it be public education, or whether it even be in the support services. For example, this is a cybersecurity strategy implementation. So in cuts in the baseline, cuts in the budget would cause further challenges. With regards to the adjustment estimate, we had agreed again in this year to what's in the envelope in terms of salary arrangements, so salary agreements, so there's no impact in terms of the current year. But in future years, it would become a bit challenging. Thank you, Chairperson. Ms. Fouchier and Madam Peterson as directed by the Speaker. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. You may proceed, Ms. Fouchier.
There's nothing really to add from my side. Maybe Nicole can go first.
Thank you, Secretary. Chair, through you, the Secretary basically summarized the situation we're currently in. Our allocation letters have indicated a cut in our baselines over the MTF, and this is for the next budget. We have tried to mitigate it to a small extent through this adjustments estimate by taking some funding over into the MTF of 24-25 and 25-26. But budget for 24-25 and the following 2 years has been quite a challenge based on the minimal increase in the baselines, which is almost less than the consumer price index. So we are fitting within it, but with great difficulty and having to curtail some of our what we would like to do. But we do have a priority list where, as funds are freed up, those are addressed as quickly as possible and as early in the year as possible. But the budget going forward will be quite a challenge for the WCPP.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Honourable members that posed the questions, before I proceed to round 2, are you satisfied? Any follow-up questions? Speaker?
Thank you, Chair. I think Honourable Bosman's question was not answered. I want to refer Honourable Bosman to page 21, where there's 158,000 rand that has been rolled over in the Public Education and Outreach Directorate that will supplement what we already are doing. I want to at this point just say that Public Education and Outreach is doing phenomenal work with the limited resources that they do have. And as always, we encourage members, if they have any suggestions on how it can be improved, to please liaise with Ms. Fouchier and the team. I think we are all ready to ensure that we use that space to ultimately create that opportunity for the citizens, so that lawmaking and oversight doesn't just become a tick boxing exercise, but that it's actually meaningful for our communities. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that indulgence, Speaker. And rounding off, Honourable Maseko and Bosman, are you satisfied? No follow-ups?
No follow-up from me, Chair.
Thank you very much. And then I see Member Lecker.
Thank you, Chair. At some point, I had difficulties hearing what the meeting was speaking about. I only got to hear when there were responses that were given to members. Without any disrespect to Chair, could you please advise me where exactly are we in terms of the adjustment budget? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. I hope your connection are better now. We are now on point 2 of the agenda, and the schedule has been tabled as members has received, and I assume that all honourable members has read accordingly. So pages 19 to 35 has been tabled. So members are now free to ask their questions, and please just refer to the page number as well. You may proceed, Member Lecker.
Thank you, Chair. My question would be on page 19. You would forgive me if this has been asked, but in terms of the point of reference, Chair, I wish to speak on the fact that the revision to the 2023-2024 APP in Program 3 led to removal of an indicator related to WCPP Engage 1.0 project, necessitated by a decision to terminate the project in 2023-2024. Now, for me, indeed, public engagement remains a sore thumb for the ANC in this legislature. Is this a recognition, therefore, that public engagement has failed in this provincial legislature, that instead of getting ordinary people of the Western Cape to engage this legislature, the leadership of this legislature engages in promoting gimmicks that will eventually fail, like this one? Page 22, Chair, under shifting of funds within programs, funding to cover additional 72 litigation. What is this litigation about? Or what is the foreseeable litigation about? You said up until which page, Chair, if I may ask? What's the last page, Chair?
You can ask anything your heart desires, Member Leka. All the pages are open.
But I must.
Excuse me, I was on mute. Honourable members, order please. Member Lecker.
I ask from page 19 until which page, Chair?
Up until page 35, member.
All right, thank you, Chair. I'm now on page 25. In terms of the realignment of the provincial budget, Program 1 on governance, leadership and administration. The amount that has been rendered to the Provincial Revenue Fund in respect of the current year's cyber security savings to be reallocated to 2025-2026 to supplement the 2025-2026 security budget. I mean, in the wake of our systems being hacked, are we to understand that ITC does not require more funds this year, especially for cyber security, and that are we safe now? That's why we reallocate these funds to next year. Can I get an understanding exactly to those two questions? The second last is on Program 2, Parliamentary Support Services. The projected expenditure includes public hearings and oversight visits. Now, in respect of public hearings, we have just come out of a process whereby money was spent on public hearings on the provincial constitution amendment, only for the DA to chicken out. All of that money has now gone to waste. Now, the same committee, which is the Premier, is going to go to public hearings on the Provincial Powers Bill, which, according to legal advice that we have received in this House from this very legislature, is dead in the water. So wasting money on public hearings that are doomed instead of using the money for more oversight visits. How much did we spend on those public hearings to amend the provincial constitution? That would be the question for page 28. And then lastly, Chair, if I may, I won't ask any more questions. On table 2.7.4, under members' support on secretarial allowance, there's a cut there, and the amount has been stipulated. And given that this will probably be the first of a number of cuts to secretarial or constituency allowance. What is the institution planning to do in order to fill the gap? Remember, secretarial allowances are primarily used to support the member in their work. Has the leadership of the legislature thought of other ways to fill this gap? Those are all my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Lekker. Mr. Secretary, will you please just advise or indicate or direct as to who will be dealing with the questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. On the questions posed by Honourable Lekker, Mr. Jawadin and Ms. Peterson will respond to that. With regards to WCPP Engage, Ms. Fushia will respond to that one, Chairperson. Thank you. And then I'll supplement if required.
Thank you very much. In that order, please. You may proceed.
Chair, if I may.
You may, Mr. Jawadin. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. If I may just touch on the specific questions that I can respond to. Just with regards to the first question by Honourable Member Lekker regarding the legal fees, there has been a shift of additional funding to the legal fees, goods and service from the underspending on vacant posts, and that's mainly due to the fact that there is and was anticipated additional legal costs for cases currently underway, and there has been invoice received. So the original budget that we had specifically was not sufficient, particularly with regards to the invoices we receive for legal fees and projected future costs for legal fees specifically. So we're making provision for the additional 72,000 based on the projection of the manager of the unit, particularly for that. Then with regards to the cybersecurity on page 25, regarding the Honourable Member Lekker's question, that 830,000, even though it's moved away from cybersecurity, that fund is basically a provision by the sub-program manager, where the current provision in this financial year is sufficient, and there is a surplus of that for that particular fund to be revoted into the MTV into the next year to cover for also cybersecurity costs in the outer year. So there is a shortfall in cost for cybersecurity in the budget in the outer years. However, in the current financial year, there is a projected saving for which that cost can be rolled over or revoted into the MTF to cover for that shortage. So remember, Lekker, that that cost is specifically also going to be utilized for cybersecurity, but just not in this year, because we are covered sufficiently in this year. That will be utilized in the next financial year, specifically to ensure that we have funding for cybersecurity in the outer year. The other particular question I can answer is on page 36, and that relates to the secretarial allowance. That shift, Member Lekker, is specifically just with regards to the fact that there has been a shift for funds where political parties as either paid back funds for underspending or for non-compliance, so there has been a reduction in the allocation. However, we have made provision for secretarial allowance as we would normally for that particular function. Thank you, Chair. I think that's the ones I can specifically respond to.
Thank you, Mr. Jawadin. Chairperson, if I can just add to the question on litigation. So
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament secures external legal support through the State Attorney's offices. When the work has been done, the State Attorney's office is then provided with an invoice by the legal resource. With the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, the adequacy of the invoice amount for the work that is done and the appropriateness thereof is then assessed. And based on agreement, the payment is then made, Chairperson. While we try to anticipate and upfront look at when there is a legal matter, what the cost would be, it then also depends on what actions follow thereafter. For example, if a matter is judged in the favor of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament and the other party then chooses to appeal the matter, that decision is outside of our control, although it might incur additional legal cost for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. Chairperson, I thought just the necessity to explain how invoices would work and whether the WCPP has control or insight in terms of those type of legal matters. Chairperson, then there's the question of the seats bill. That's not been answered in terms of, we can only answer, Chairperson, based on Honourable Lekker's comments, the question of how much has been spent And I'm going to ask whether Mr. Sussman is in a position to provide a response to that question. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Sasman, and then after Ms. Fisher.
Chairperson, thank you. I'm not exactly sure of the amount at the moment that we spent on the seats bill, Chairperson. I'll have to just look it up and just get back to the committee maybe in the next couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sasman. Ms. Fisher.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question, Honourable Lekker. I think, as I've previously stated in the POC meeting, the concept of the WCPP Engage 1.0, or a digital platform for engagement between the public and the members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, was a product of a strategic planning session that took place in 2019. In 2019, the world was a very, very different place from what it is now. And this was one of the key projects in terms of the modernization and the digitization of WCPP and WCPP services. The intention has never been to disconnect in-person engagements. We know, and we've seen since the commencement of the 6th Parliament, that we have had at least 2 public education and outreach workshops a month. And in addition to that, we have had public engagement sessions in every single district of the Western Cape, and that is excluding the targeted civil society engagements, such as the virtual roundtable discussions on people with disabilities, SMMEs, youth, and women. So by no stretch of the imagination has the WCPP ever desired to not have the in-person public engagement. This was specifically an app aimed at the youth. We know that more than 50% of our population is below the age of 30. But since 2019, when that was conceptualized and included in our APP, we have had substantial procurement challenges with finding a suitable service provider, specifically a suitable service provider that can provide the cyber security that we require as part of this platform. With the changing financial situation post-COVID, and now with the recent tightening of our belts, we have decided that this project will be deferred a little bit. It is not cancelled. It will be revisited on an annual basis when funding becomes available for this. We will definitely pursue this again, and we are looking at exploring the option of incorporating this in the new WCPP website, which is currently being designed, which will also save us a significant amount of cost, because we will use the cybersecurity functionalities that's already embedded in the website. So it's not a standalone where we have to procure the cybersecurity for that separately. So it's a process that has been put on hold for a little bit, but it is definitely something that will add massive value to WCPP and the people of the Western Cape, and it will be explored in future, maybe on a similar or on a different platform. I hope that is of assistance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fisher. Mr. Sasman, are you in a position to respond, or should we give you some more time?
I'm not yet ready, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Chairperson is hand from Member Maseko.
My apologies. Can I just ask Member Lekker, are there any follow-up questions pertaining to yours at this stage?
Yes, Chair. Yes, Chair. I think there's 2 questions that have not been answered. If I go back in respect to the secretarial allowance, I actually wanted to understand exactly as to what are these budget cuts for, and how much of it is going to affect our operations. If it comes from parties that did not utilize or utilized it wrongly, why such a huge cut? Because there may be serious reasons why those monies were not utilized. And the second follow-up, Chair, is on the litigation. We hear that there are invoices that are brought in from the state attorney. I do not know what matter is that, where the legislature has to pay a state attorney. Can we get information in relation as to what is this all about? Litigation. Can we get a more detailed information? Because for me, this is it's more like a half full glass of water. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lekker. Mr. Secretary.
Chairperson, I'm going to ask Mr. Jawuddin just to provide a response regarding the secretarial allowance, and then Advocate Leroux to respond to the matter of the litigation, just to add to my response. And then, Chairperson, I see Mr. Sussman's hand is also raised now.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. We will deal with the follow-ups by Member Lekker, and I recognize you, Mr. Sasman. We'll get you soon after that response. Mr. Jawuddin.
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate to what the question Member Lekker asked regarding the secretarial allowance, that reduction is purely with regards to the fact that we not all particular political parties had non-compliance towards the secretarial policy, and due to non-compliance, that particular funding would have been withheld as part of this year's allowance. However, that does not affect the next year's allowance particularly. So that's basically just the fact that due to non-compliance with the policy, funding would have been withheld if funds were not utilized as per the policy, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jawuddin.
Advocate Leroux.
Chairperson, thank you. If I understand the question correctly, it relates to an invoice received in respect of litigation. That invoice relates to, I think, what we all know as the Mukhali matter, which was a public involvement challenge against the public involvement processes of Parliament and the provincial legislatures in respect of the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act. The legislature had counsel that represented it in the Constitutional Court, and that counsel invoiced the legislature for its services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Leroux. Mr. Sasman, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. With regards to the seats vote, there were 5 public hearings, and the cost of those 5 public hearings came to 340,388 rand, Chairperson.
Thank you very much for that response, Mr. Sasman. Member Lekker, I see you have your hand up. You may proceed, member.
Thank you, Chair. If I understand Advocate Leroux properly, he says the invoice were as a result of the public involvement of the Judicial and Khoisan Act. If that is the case, why was Parliament being invoiced? Well, we found to have been at fault to such an extent we must pay the state attorneys. Can we get an understanding? Can this be unpacked? Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lekker. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm going to ask Advocate Leroux just to assist me after I've made my initial inputs. So with all litigation, the WCPP when there's a decision that the matter would be opposed, the WCPP works through the State Attorney's Office in terms of that specific decision. There is then a decision in how that matter will be opposed. In some cases, counsel is required. The WCPP then follows the State Attorney's processes in terms of the appointment of counsel. When the work has been done, the State Attorney then acts as a go-between between the WCPP and council in terms of payment and submission of invoices and certifying that the work has been done in order for the WC to be paid. Advocate Leroux, if you can then follow on that with regards to specifically the Mogale matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Advocate Leroux.
Thank you, Chairperson. As far as the invoice in the Mogale matter is concerned on the question, papers were served on Parliament and all the provincial legislatures. And as it is with court papers, the applicants made various allegations of what was done or should have been done, etc. So in response to that, the Western Cape Provincial Parliament appointed counsel to respond to those allegations. That, of course, requires that papers need to be drafted, answering papers, that heads of argument needs to be drafted. Counsel had to go to Johannesburg, to the Constitutional Court, to physically argue in the Constitutional Court. And basically that just entails responding to the applicant's allegations against the Provincial Parliament in the Constitutional Court. So that's what council was appointed to do and what council invoiced us for. In this particular case, the applicants in their notice of motion, they sought relief against Parliament and against all the provincial legislatures. What happened in this case was that the Constitutional Court made a finding against Parliament. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Advocate Leroux. Honourable members, any follow-up questions?
Yes, Chair.
Please proceed, Member Lecker.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think I've got a follow-up in relation to the 340 expenditure thousand that was made.
You may proceed, Member Lecker.
How does Parliament justifies spending so much money and at a later stage decide not to go with that view? What was the rationale? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Lecker. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. So, Chairperson, through you, the response is as follows. As part of the work of Parliament, we are responsible for lawmaking as per one of the mandates, which also include oversight and public participation. When a piece of legislation is processed in terms of the rules of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, the institution is obligated to make provision for that legislative processes to be followed and to put resources to that specifically. That is what we as the administration had provided for. What the outcome is of that legislative process, Chairperson, is not for me to answer, because it follows a process and the committee then adjudicates on that process and then resolves a way forward. We had acted in terms of our obligation, in terms of the introduction of a piece of legislation, the processing of that piece of legislation in compliance with the Western Cape Provincial Parliament standing rules, and we then needed to make provision for those processes to be followed. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Speaker, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Chair. No, I'm covered by the Secretary. And to that end, Chair, because it's a constitutional mandate, not the outcome of the public engagement, But the constitutional mandate of Parliament is to make provision and provide resources to enable committees to do public engagement as a constitutional requirement. And for that reason, we have allocated, as indicated on page 31, additional money for standing committees in order for them to fulfill their constitutional mandates.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Speaker. Member Lecker, is it follow-up from you?
Yes, I think this would be the last follow-up, Chair.
Sure.
Chair, if I understand correctly, maybe there's something that is actually not gelling properly. From my understanding, Chair, we're speaking of 340,388 that was actually used for a public hearing, which we are now longer continuing with that process. Yes, I hear that the resources were properly allocated, but then a decision then rests with the committee. What I do not understand is the fact that this is a discussion that is coming from the 5th administration. And all of a sudden, we engage in a process of public engagement, wasting the taxpayers' money, including our personnel, our personal energy, ensuring that we do public engagements in this regard. And on the 11th hour, we disown that process. I actually want us to be honest and say, why exactly did we not continue with that? Because a public process has been undertaken and people have spoken in that regard. Why should we then use Parliament to undermine the decision of the public participation process or an outcome of a public participation process? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Lecker. Member Lecker, I don't think that we are or it will be in good faith for us to anticipate a question and also indirectly reflect that that officials or those that are responding are not being honest. Let me just caution you on that as well. I saw the speaker's hand and then I saw Member Maseko's hand as well. Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. Please excuse my ignorance, but according to my understanding, there's no bill that has been canned, for a lack of a better word, and that bill is in front of the committees. I mean, it hasn't even reached Parliament yet for a decision as part of the legislative process. So according to me, the public hearings is one part of the legislative process. It is now the public was engaged. It went back to the committee. The committee makes recommendations to the House. The House will deliberate and vote on the question put before the House, and then the bill will either become an act or the amendment will become an act or not. I think it's important also to state on record, Chair, public engagement and public hearings is an important mechanism as part of the legislative process and our constitutional mandates of Parliament. So I don't think, respectfully, one can put values to or have a standard of allocation for public engagement. I mean, we owe it to the citizens. We need to engage them. It is ultimately their bill, which will become their act. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Speaker, Member Maseko, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think the speaker covered me because I wanted to find out, because we don't know which bill has been canned, and also maybe to talk to the issue of the members in that specific committee are the ones who went out for the public hearings. It's not the officials in the Parliament. So it's a little bit difficult because the officials that are in this meeting are enablers for the oversight role and the legislative processes that the members take decisions about. So it's difficult for them to be able to can answer member Lecker the way she would want to have an answer, unless she goes to a specific committee where she heard that there's a bill that has been penned. Is then that there, maybe the chairperson, if she can write to the chairperson, can respond accordingly to her. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Honourable members, I am concluding that round and not engaging on further follow-ups. I think the question has been adequately addressed and responded to. Are there any other questions, new questions, members?
No, Chair.
Thank you very much. I do not see any hands. Honourable colleagues, then I believe we have then dealt with the schedule to vote 2 pages 19 to 36 in our deliberations on vote 2 of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2023. Speaker, at this point, are there any closing remarks from your side, as I will be excusing yourself, the Deputy Speaker, and the officials, as we will then deal with the consideration of our draft report.
Thank you very much, Chair. And once again, just to the members of the committee, thank you very much for a robust engagement. To the Secretary and the team, thank you very much for the work that has gone into the preparation of this budget. And then, Chair, just lastly, also allow me an opportunity to wish the Honourable Lecker a happy birthday and a blessed year for the year that's ahead. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair. And may I add to the sentiments of the Speaker to wish everybody on the committee and the staff a very blessed festive season that is coming up, and we look forward to engaging again in the new year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
My concluding remarks is just thank you to the committee and to you as Chairperson, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker for their guidance and the assistance. Thank you, Chairperson, and the colleagues in the administration.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much to everyone. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, Chair. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Mr. Davids, will you be flagging the draft report for us?
Yes, Chair. I'm just getting it ready for us, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Chairperson, can you see the report, Chair?
I do see it on the screen. Thank you very much.
I'll just make it a little bit bigger, Chair.
Is that by request of Member Bosman?
Sorry, Chair?
Is that by the request of Member Bosman to make it a bit bigger?
Yes, the anticipated request, Chair.
I have
Thank
very
you.
young eyes, Chairperson.
I know, Member. Member Lecker?
No, thank you, Chair. I was about to ask if we're not going to be granted an opportunity for some resolutions before we go to the previous minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Lecker. We can certainly indulge in the request. Colleagues, can we please deal with the report, the draft committee report of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee on Vote 2, Provincial Parliament, in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill B7 of 2023, dated today, the 29th of November 2023. The Parliamentary Oversight Committee reports that it has concluded its deliberations on Vote 2, Provincial Parliament, in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill B7 2023, referred to the committee in terms of Standing Rule 188, and that it supports or does not support the vote referred to. Honourable members. Member Bosman.
Chairperson, I propose that we support the vote.
Thank you very much. I see the Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. I second the proposal by Honorable Member Gillian Bosman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maseko. I recognize the Honorable Lecker.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I would like to exercise a minority vote not to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lecker. Honorable members, in terms of the views expressed, the minority view in terms of Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress has expressed its minority view that it does not support the vote. Are all honorable members in agreement? And we can then accordingly adopt the report as it is cited on the screen.
Chair, I propose that we adopt as it's cited on the screen.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Can I have a seconder?
I second that, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davids. We are then now on point 4 of the agenda.
Yes, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just want to draw up the agenda on my part, Chair. Please excuse me.
The consideration and the adoption of the draft committee report on its engagements on the annual report for the 2022-2023 financial year.
Yes, Chair. I'm just calling that that report up, Chairperson. There we go. There we go, Chairperson. Can you see it, Chair?
Yes, if you can perhaps just go to the beginning of the document.
Sure. Chair, I'm just going to make it a little bit, there we go, Chair. Chair, so if I can just take yourselves through it, Chair, it is the draft report, Chairperson, for the year ended 31 March 2023, Chairperson. This report has been vetted by Ms. Clutie according to the vetting process to make sure that it is factually correct in terms of the content, Chairperson. Chair, as we always do with this report, Chair, we are today, the 29th of November, adopting this report, Chairperson. And then we basically, just for introduction, just basically say what is the what's the aim of this committee with regards to oversight of the annual report, Chairperson. And basically just talk about the FAMPLA, Chairperson, and how oversight takes place through the annual reports, Chairperson, and then basically just that the committee looked at all of these issues, Chair, all of the parts, and that this program was also advertised in the newspaper to welcome public participation, Chairperson. The overview is basically just how the committee met with the Auditor General of South Africa, including the Audit Committee, and they were the committee was briefed, Chairperson, and then basically just being introductory comments being made by the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and the Secretary, Chair. And then, Chair, we went through your direction through to a section by section discussion. And then, Chairperson, just the auditor opinion, as we were briefed by the Auditor General, there was a clean audit outcome, Chair. There was no findings that were raised. In terms of corporate governance, Chairperson, the Audit Committee informed the committee that they have sat on the following insurance engagement, which is HANZAD and all of these, Chairperson. And then basically just there were 9 invoices that were in excess, Chair, of the 30-day regulations. And then, Chairperson, it's just with performance information is out of the annual reports, Chair. The same with our financial management. It's just reporting back, Chair, what is stated in the annual reports, Chairperson, including the emerging risks as it comes and the GRAP pronouncements as by the advice of the Auditor General. Chair, in the meeting, Chair, there were no recommendations, no direct recommendations, Chairperson. I have put in here, Chairperson, there was a request from member Bosman that a copy of the records management audit which took place during March 2023 be forwarded to the committee, Chair. There were no inputs received from the public, although you have afforded such, Chair, and then it's just the conclusion and the acknowledgement where you just, the committee just thanks everyone for engaging with it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davids. Member Maseko?
Chair, I was proposing that I'll take that the report has been read and then propose to adopt the report.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Colleagues, there is a proposal for us to adopt the report as the true reflection. Any seconder?
I second that, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. The report are then duly adopted. Mr. Davids?
Thank you very much, Chair. I will just unshare this report, Chair. Then, Chair, just the last one, Chair, is the minutes, Chair,
of the 18th.
Yes, of the 18th, Chair. I just want to pull up those minutes, Chairperson. Here we go. Chair, it is straightforward, Chair, and members. It's very straightforward minutes. Member Maseko's hand is up, Chair.
Member Maseko?
Chair, I move that we adopt the minutes. Also take it that we have read that and the members have read the minutes. Thank you
very much, Member Maseko. Honourable members, we all received the minutes. You had time to peruse, or if there's an opportunity for any amendments, but I see Member Maseko propose that we adopt the minutes. A seconder?
I second that, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, honourable members. Then the committee minutes of the 18th of October are then duly adopted. Mr. Davids, are there any outstanding business?
Chairperson, no, Chairperson, no outstanding business, Chair. It's just the resolutions, Chair, as requested by Member Lecker.
Thank you. I was coming to that. Member Lecker.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, my first request would be perhaps the findings of the Concord on the Mukhale report, if we can be provided with that. The second one, Chair, would be a commitment from Parliament to give us feedback on the 830,000 that has been put aside from the cyber security what. As and when that money gets to be used, we are informed. You would recall, Chairperson, that in one of our close, is this still a closed meeting, Chair? Chair?
Chairperson, yes.
It's a closed meeting.
It's an open.
Oh, okay. No, I was going to make reference, Chair, to the fact that there's a report that we must still get from the company as to what happened. Why is it that they did not foresee the cyber attack? So I actually want to get continuous feedback as and when the 830 gets to be used. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. Any other member? Don't see any hands. Mr. Davids? You've got that captured?
I've got that captured, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable colleagues, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you so much for your indulgence. Member Lecker, enjoy the rest of your birthday. Go well, colleagues, and all the best with the upcoming votes as well. Have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for the sterling support, Mr. Davids and Ms. Kluter. All the best. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you,
Member
Chair.
Lecker,
Thank you very much.
we will wait for the cake,
Everyone,
Member Lecker.
go well, go
Members,
share.
Happy birthday.
you.